In a previous video, I went over an XP farm that uses a cactus farm instead of mobs. Whether it be to make your XP farm better or just to collect a lot of green dye, in this video I'm going to show you what I believe to be the most compact and efficient cactus farm design. One of the great things about this cactus farm design is that it's highly customizable. You can keep adding more layers vertically, or you can just make your layers bigger horizontally as well. But I would recommend the vertical additions for reasons explained later in the video. Before we start, if you're new to the channel, check out my other Minecraft builds and tutorials, and subscribe for more if you enjoy. So there's two sets of supplies for this video. The first set is for the first layer of the cactus farm along with the water collection at the bottom, and the second set is for each additional layer you want to build. So the building materials then for the first layer and the collection part is one chest or as many as you want, one hopper, 2 water buckets for an infinite water source, 472 stone bricks, 64 sand, 64 cactus, 32 oak fences, and 14 oak signs. Obviously it can be any type of wood, but that's the supplies. For every single layer you want to build on top of it, this is how many materials you need for each layer. You're going to need 280 stone slabs, 144 stone bricks, 64 sand, 64 cactus, 32 oak fences, 5 signs, and once again 2 water buckets to make an infinite source. I'm going to be using glass for the bottom portion of the build just so you guys can get a better view, and once again so you can get a better view, I'm just going to build 3 blocks above the ground. So what you guys are going to want to start with is placing one chest down, putting a hopper leading into the chest, and go 8 blocks with whatever you're building with behind the hopper. Now you're going to want to build a 9x9 square, and you can just do this by placing a block above the hopper, building 4 out this way, 4 out this way, and filling in the square, but make sure you don't fill in the middle of the square, so you can just do this by building out like this. As you can see, it's just a 9x9 square with a line down the middle. Now we're going to want to build a perimeter, which you can do by just placing a block outwards like this. We're going to get rid of these 2 blocks as well, and build a perimeter following this square. This is basically just going to be an 11x11 perimeter that's just going to hold the water in. And this is what it should look like so far. Now we can get started on the water placement. Before we do that, we're just going to put down our 9 signs right along the middle here on the second block. Before we do that, however, I'm going to place a block right here to stop the water source from pouring out that way. So to place the signs down, you can just shift right click and get down your 9 signs. Now we can place down our water sources, which is very simple. You just want to put one water source bucket block on each of these glass planes on the side, and place one source block right at the end here to push all the cactus into the hopper. Now this was the point of the glass build. You can see that all the water is going to end up flowing the cactus to this hopper right here, from the sides or from the middle. Now we're going to build the base of our cactus farm itself, which we can just do by going to a corner block and building out 3 on both sides. The platform is essentially a 17x17. So if it's 3 blocks out from any of these glass walls, it'll end up being 17x17. As you can see, I've been building out 3 blocks from each direction. And then after we do this, we're going to want to just fill in all of the middle with our stone bricks to make sure it's a 17x17. Which you can see it is, because this is 3 blocks, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. It'll be 17 blocks this way too. Now that the 17x17 base is done, we're going to build a 19x19 wall system right around the edges. So we're just going to go 1 block out and just build a 1 block high wall on each side. And here's what it looks like when you're done, the 19x19 wall. I'd just like to point out that if you decide to add more levels, there's a few changes you're going to have to make, which are going to stay consistent through every level except for the first one, which I'll go over at the end of the video after we finish our cactus farm. So now we're just going to place our sand down, which you'll just start off with 1 sand block here, which is 2 away from each side, and then place sand in such a pattern throughout the whole grid. Here's what your grid should look like when it's done. It should just be an 8x8 grid made out of 64 sand. Now we're going to put a piece of cactus on top of each sand block. So the cactus farm is now almost done. We're just going to place down our water buckets at the correct spots. And the correct spots are each corner And then there's a few more spots. We're going to put one right here. And this location is just the middle of the side. So it goes 4 cactuses in and it's between the 4th and 5th cactus. And we're going to do that on each side. The last water source block goes right in the middle. Now we're going to want to make some holes to make sure the cactuses can fall down. The first 4 holes are in a square. As you can see, this formed a square from there, 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 and there. And the last 5 blocks we want to break, and this is important, you're going to want to put a sign at the blocks you break, is one in the middle, one between these 2 holes, between these 2 holes, between these 2 holes, and between these 2 holes. Basically, you just made 9 holes all 3 blocks apart from each other in a 9x9 square. The last step is just to add the fences. We'll start the first column of fences next to the first column of cactuses, and then keep adding another column of fences every 2 columns of cactuses. This is what the final product's going to look like. You're going to have 4 columns of 8 fences each, which is going to be 32 fences. If you want to expand upwards, you're going to have to switch to slabs, as I talked about in the beginning of the video. You're going to want to build up 3 blocks and put slabs at the top half of this block. If you put it at the bottom half, such as this, it's not going to let the cactus grow, and this is why we switched to slabs here. You're going to follow the same design, but you're just going to have the base with slabs, and that's one of the differences. So now that the second layer is done, the second difference is going to be how high your wall is going to be. You're going to want to make each of your walls too high now to make sure that none of the cactuses fall off the edge. You're going to want to make sure that it's too high for every level after the first one. The last very small difference is that you're going to want to place your water down against the side. If you place it down on the slab, it's going to go through the slab. It's just a very small, minute detail, but it's just something that could be a problem for some of you, and that's the fix. Everything else in the build stays the same, so I'm just going to finish up the second layer and show you what a 2-layer cactus farm looks like. So here's what the cactus farm looks like with 2 floors. This is basically the same as the first floor with the aforementioned changes. Throw a piece of cactus anywhere here, you can see that it's going to go through there, fall through, and then be collected into the hopper. You can also make sideways changes, although I recommend vertical changes. But if you want to build out sideways, you can easily do so by following these directions. If you want to expand horizontally instead of vertically, you can break one wall on one side and build out 6 blocks from the floor. Now that we built out 6 blocks, I'm just going to quickly put all the sand, cactus, and walls around it. Lastly, you're just going to want to put the water buckets the same way as before, one on each corner, and one between the 4th and the 5th cactus, which is the middle. So here's what it looks like when it's done without the signs. The one problem I've run into when expanding it horizontally, which is why I recommend vertical expansion, is that you have to break every still water source along this column, and break each of the blocks and put a sign down. This was it for this video on a super efficient and compact cactus farm. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the comments below and I'll get back to you as fast as possible. And make sure to like and subscribe if you found this helpful.